Hello, good day. Before everything else, let me show you first a picture. Let's try to ponder what this is all about. Remember that our focus is on administrative concern. Now, as you could see, the picture depicts the teacher and learner situation. If somebody will tell you that this is our education system, will you agree? If you agree, then I would say you need to examine yourself. Meanwhile, no, a teacher and learner scenario is no different with administrator and subordinate situation. There are instances that we can commit bad decisions or undesirable decisions in our lives. This might happen in the workplace, this might happen in the classroom, or possibly in our house. And this decision that we made might compromise the whole system where we are affiliated. That is why we need to endure more on learning and be oriented with holistic practices, especially in dealing people. Now, in order to gain such knowledge, let us explore my topic on critical educational administrative theory. Critical educational administration theory. When we say critical, this involves careful judgment or prudent decision. Now let us try to look at it. What does it mean by critical educational administration theory? Theory. This assumes the existence of both objective and subjective knowledge of objective and ordered reality. So nag-comprise na ni siya sa gitawag nato nga objective and subjective nga knowledge. So when we say uh, objective perspective, what do you mean by that? When we say subjective perspective, what can you say about those things? So let us first take a look what is objective knowledge. Objective knowledge refers to how much an individual actually knows. This means it refers to something that is present already, and it's up to us on how we discover these things. That is facts or things that is present already. And subjective knowledge, this involves how much an individual thinks he or she knows about a product. This is also known as perceived or self-assist knowledge. No? Example ani, kitay sa objective knowledge miingon ta nga world or ang kalibutan. That is fact. Sa subjective knowledge o subjective perspective, miingon ta nga ang kalibutan is para nako hell. This might because of the experiences that he experienced. That is a self-assist knowledge ang iyang pag-interpret kung unsa man ang world. It depends to him. Iyan ang kaugaling perceptions. This theory positing the existence of objective reality and subjective knowledge of reality. Reality is viewed as being in a constant state of change. Because of this change, laws are not sought by the critical theorists. Now, according to them, the only thing that is constant in this world is change. Na ay mga butang in sama sa mga provisions nga gihatag sa Department of Education nga sa atoa, na ay mga instances nga leaders or school heads will be giving a twist of such particular mandates because not all of that mandates is applicable to them. Parehaan ng paghatag nato og alternative working arrangement sa mga maestra nga na ay 3 days on site, 2 days off site. Now, some schools could not implement that. It is because it will compromise the delivery and retrieval of the modules. That is why makita natin diri nga na ay nag-uban ang gitawag nato nga objective reality or objective knowledge o ang subjective reality. Provisions are the objective reality, and then the subjective knowledge of reality are those things made by the school heads, a decision that made by school heads, not necessarily he is deviating or defying the mandates, but then he make a twist, but the twist that he made is in a sense of positive impact. Critical educational administration theory provides a means whereby school leaders can understand and ultimately disentangle themselves from the external and internal forces which impose upon educational practice. Now, ang pangutana diri, why is it that there is a need for the leaders to disentangle themselves or to disengage themselves from these external and internal forces? Okay, let us continue. What is external and internal? What could be the internal and external forces that may influence their decisions or decision making? As leaders, we need to avoid biases. The following are identified as external forces that may passively cause undesirable things in leadership. First is family, then friends, business, obsession to material things. Nga naman posible man nga ang imong family is belongs siya, identified man siya as external forces. Kaya posible, example, in a workplace, wherein you have your brother or sister who are also employed in a particular department, posible nga imo siya tagaan ng pabor, mawala ang imong kuan niya na professionalism. Ikadua, friends. Tungod kay close kay mo, contact kay mo, possibly na-intimate mo nga relationship with your friends, nga babae, nga lalaki, and then you are in the same workplace. So dako kay na si Jag impact sa imong personality as leader, because you might be giving him a favor which is unjust favor. Okay. Next is business. No? If you according to them, we cannot serve two gods at the same time without your answer. Now, if you have this business and then You cannot concentrate on your responsibilities and duties in a particular school kung asa man ka, kung sa mga ka sa eskwelahan ba ka o sa baga diha sa school principal ba ka, and then obsessions to material things isa po na siya, no? Kung sobra na ka kaayo ka gastado, sobra na ka materialistic, of course posible nga para dili ma-compromise ang budget sa imong pamilya, posible adto nimo kuhaon sa imong imuhay. Joke. Okay? Those are the things nga posible nga mahimo siyang uh, external factors. Kung moingon po ta og internal forces, posible these are characteristics or traits, personality nimo as leaders nga in posible siya magkahatag og maot nga imahe sa usa ka leader, no? Ignorance to provisions. Usa ka leader pero wala jud kay kinibal-an kaayo nga balaod. How will you defend your teachers if naa sila mga problema, wa kay alam passive ka sa growth sa imong mga kauban. So, as leader, we lead by example man kita, and pero ikaw, we need to empower our co-workers, pero ikaw murag ang imong kaugalingon na imong ginhauna, so murag di siya maayo. Rayani, centralized leadership. So, murag ikaw ray paminaw nimo ikaw ray sakto na mga leaders or na mga principals nga until now, according to some of the teachers, no, nagyapon yung mga leader or mga principal ngayon ani, mga school heads ngayon ani, nga magpuot sila kung sa ilang gusto. Bisan pa og nag-declare ang national nga kini non-working holiday ni siya. November 2 is a non-working holiday, and then nag-call up ka og meeting and you oblige your teachers to attend such particular meeting. Tungod kay imuhang gibasihan ang kinagitawag nato nga school-based management. Okay, baka na siya. As Ahoy in the year 1994 clarified, and critical theory attempts to raise people's consciousness about their living and working condition through logic and debate, but in the process it relies on the generation and analysis of ideologies. I have here philosophers which are proponents of critical theory. First is Antonio Gramsci, known for his cultural hegemony. According to him, hegemon, leader states, rule subordinate states through the threat of intervention, an implied means of power, rather than merely through the threat of direct rule, military invasion, occupation, and annexation. Next is Jürgen Habermas, raised the epistemological discussion to new level in his knowledge and human interest by identifying critical knowledge as based on principles that differentiated it in either from the natural science or the humanities through its orientation theory of communicative action. Another here is Herbert Marcuse. He argued that some needs are better satisfied than others, that individual happiness cannot be separated from creation of rational society. Next is Max Horkheimer. Traditional and critical theory as a social theory oriented toward critiquing and changing society as a whole, in contrast to traditional theory oriented only toward understanding or explaining it. Si Ivan Illich, he was part of the discussion on critical issues in the institutional generation of knowledge. Another is Theodore Adorno. He stands that oppression is created through politics, economics, culture, and materialism, but is maintained most significantly through consciousness. Critical theorists elaborate the values and practices within schools, which maintain the ideological perspective of schools. Topics such as curriculum, teaching, and student issue display the inherent social values in schooling in the schooling process, which is focusing on how controls the school, what makes policies that govern schools, who determines the ethical and social economic goals of education, who establishes the curriculum. So those are the things that we need to consider in critical theory, critical educational administration. Critical educational administration theory also aims to consider the following. Critic, it examines the issue of who, what class controls educational institution and processes. Next is reform. We must work against cultural agents that reproduce the status quo. So, uh, no man is an island only. So, in order to have this reform, we need to collaborate with each other. Before I end up my discussion, let me leave you this quote. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education, according to Martin Luther King. Thank you for listening.